Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kits traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now, the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Okay, shalom, salama, CME, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahusha HaMashiach, I welcome you this morning. Today is Thursday, June 25th. What a day to be alive. What This is the day that Yahuwah has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. That's why I say, family, keep praise in your mouth. Exalt the Most High at all times. With the breath that you have to give him praise. And I don't say that lightly because there have been trials and things that I've been going through in the background that has challenged me. And I had to always say, thank you, Father, for the challenge. Because when people say, I can do it, I can do that, well, guess what? When the Most High puts you on the spot, are you going to stand in that day? Are you? What does that look like to stand in that day of adversity? Will you stand when you're being challenged? On your morals? Will you stand when you are seeing the life changing decisions of accepting a system that's going to lead you straight to hell? I say this because I want our people to really understand that we're in a time to where they are now having to make these life-changing, life-altering decisions. We were already making those decisions years ago. We were already seeing the writing on the wall years ago. A couple of months ago, I said, Father, was this even worth it? I was asking myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? We always we always wonder and look, we introspect. Was this way too much? Was this something outside of what I could handle? It's natural. When the Most High is moving you towards something, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to look at those negative numbers in the account. You have to look at those bills that you don't know how they're getting paid. Because it isn't about what we see. We can't see, we can't do anything. Look, we gotta walk, we gotta move by faith. That's how the Most High is literally pleased. Are you going to suffer? Yes, you are. But how are you going to suffer, Ezra Alawi? You're going to suffer with gladness and meekness and humility, or are you going to suffer complaining? When I go through my little fits, because I do, we all have them, and I'd say, thank you, Father, for being patient with me, because I'm looking at something and it triggers my flesh, and I saw this and I saw that. I said, Father, it did the same thing. It triggered my flesh. But you want to know what I did, Father? I said, Father, instead of complaining, I gave you praise. Instead of saying, oh man, why? I said, thank you, Father, for this test because I walk by faith and not by sight. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. We have to go through and continue to look and see how the Most High has got us out of things that looked impossible, because we serve an Elohim of impossible, who makes all things what? Possible. Don't get it twisted. We are in some very dark days. We're in some very dark times. But let me tell you this. Do you not think that the Most High has awesome plans for his people? He does. Just to get a mere sniff of how awesome the plans are is amazing. Just to get a whiff. That's why I come on here every day. I don't need to have these elaborate, catchy things. Hey, if the Spirit leads you, the Spirit leads you. That's great. Hallelujah. If not, then it wasn't meant for you. But what I do know is this: knowing and seeing how the Most High has been working in the background, it's truly awesome. It's truly amazing. Now, in his timing of how things come together, that's his timing. But what I do know is I don't want to miss out on what he's provided. I don't. Because you never know how close you are to that breakthrough. And I'm going to tell you this, for a lot of us, myself included, we've been looking at, well, we should be at the breakthrough, at the breakthrough, at the breakthrough. Look, Abraham was looking at a breakthrough all his life. It didn't happen for him. It happened in the generations after him. I'm not saying that may be the case that the Most High has for us. But what we're doing is it's a steadfastness that we're teaching the generations that are behind us. How to walk, how to move, how to live, learn, trust in faith. Oh, and don't get it twisted. Abraham, he was a rich man. Do not get it twisted. Abraham had funds and resources. He had everything that you needed. Because the Most High continued to bless him tremendously. What happened? They had to divide up their flocks between Lot and Abraham because they were so great. That's what the word says in Genesis. They were so great. So as we're looking at them make these decisions, because again, they're trying to have a compromise. Are you going to follow the ways of the world for wealth that may only last for a fleeting moment? And I always have to liken this to World War II, especially with the Germans. During that time, they had a lot of wealth. They were getting a lot of wealth capturing territories. They were enjoying themselves. They were spending things up. They were building. They were constructing all sorts of castles, villages, you name it. The problem was that wealth was not done in a righteous manner. It just wasn't. See, what people don't understand is they try to mortgage sin, and this has been the 400-year mortgage. Well, let me just mortgage this sin. I know that I'm wrong. I know that it's wicked. I know. But you want to know what? I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick to my guns of wickedness. And as I stick to my guns of wickedness, hey, maybe my lifetime I'll outlast it. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad to see that was their thought process? I told you, their generations didn't care about them. Very selfish. That's what happens in vanity. It's a selfish generation. Wait, why am I doing this? Well, if they're suffering, at least I'm not suffering. They're not getting what that means. Because you want to know why? Because they don't teach them history. Because you want to know why? Because that is the symptom of a collapsing, decaying government, society. Once society decays, then government decays. Once government decays, then guess what else decays? Diplomacy, international relationships. That's money. We can go over this and over that. You can bring your sources. I'll just quote my little thing that I have up in ProQuest. I got me a ProQuest number for my academic source in my peer-reviewed article, or excuse me, dissertation, scholarly work. And there's going to be more scholarly works. That's really just the beginning. I have like about 10 to 15 books planned. Shout out to brother Asaph. Because we have to. You have to document. You have to analyze. You have to see things that others may not be able to see. And believe it or not, that translates into resources. Oh my goodness. Did anybody forget about Joseph? We only get a little bit of the watered down version from the Bible, from what they've authorized in the Bible. But then when you actually see what Joseph went through to be running all of Egypt, and the knowledge that he had, the understanding that he had of all things, when the world was in famine, Joseph and Egypt and his family had survived. Understand, this world is going to be in famine, but guess who's going to be surviving? Oh, yeah, you named it. The children of Yasharel. Why do you think you're seeing what's happening happen in Ghana? Why do you think you're seeing what's happening happen in the Vatican? Why do you think you're seeing what's happening happen in the EU? They're trying to survive. They're trying to at least establish themselves. They're trying to throw themselves on the mercy seat. Believe it or not. The best way that they know how to do. It's a step. Nobody knows how to be perfect the first go round. It's a process. If your heart is really in it, then guess what you're going to do? You're going to take the first step. Now you're going to see the time of first steps, and what will that look like to America? Well, it's going to look like this. They're going to say it like this. They're going to respond undoubtedly like this. Oh, the Europeans were race traders. The Europeans, this is why we left Europe, because they're race traders. I'm telling you. Mark my words. I just tell people, just mark my words. Just wait for it to play itself out. Because when it plays itself out, like I told you, Europe has no choice. And when people say, oh, Europe has a choice, no, they don't. That's when I ask people, and I'll ask them, how many times have you been over to Europe? I've never been to Europe. Then how do you know? I have folks here that are literally up in the Netherlands, France, Germany, you name it. Emails that I get in the background, you name it. And I want to preface this because I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this. Thank you, brother Garth. He says this. Joseph was doing critical infrastructure and economic development. Come on. Come on. Hallelujah. So there are different things impacting and affecting what is happening right now. The global order is beginning to shift, and I'm trying to show you. Hopefully, I can illustrate this. It's up to you. As Jacoba would say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But I want to start here with my first article. I try to build up, when people say, well, it's just the current events, it's just this, it's just that. Actually, it's not. What I am doing is I'm showing you what I used to do every single day for about 4 years and change. When I worked under a couple of generals, it wasn't that I would read the articles, I would provide a synopsis, an assessment. They would go off of what I would say, and then they would report what I just stated to a 4-star general. Whether at United States Central Command or United States Special Operations Command. And I used to get mad because what they would do, they kind of reach down the chain, because there would be about 3 to 4 people that would always press me. And it's like, well, the colonel wants this, the general wants this. Okay, I'm trying. You just don't really understand what was happening in retrospect until you're in retrospect. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me show you this. And I do have the lines open for StreamYard if y'all want to come on in here and discuss and provide amplification or amplifying and clarifying analysis. Hey, it's free to all. I'll let you all come on in here and we're gonna talk about things because this is one of the things I want to talk about. You know, they'll say, well, generals walk out all the time. Generals leave out. Hey, you know, the one general, Admiral Halsey, over at Southcom last September, he walked out. Not a big deal. But I'm going to say, and I'm going to tell you this, maybe it is. I'm going to tell you this, maybe, just maybe, they're trying to have a preemptive military operation because, as I'm telling you this, do you not think that there's very smart people in the Pentagon understanding the same analysis that I'm giving? Let's go here. Because to me, this is really the biggest news, especially as you understand that yesterday the Republicans, and I don't really care about product or politics. I'm agnostic. Doesn't matter a lick to me. The bird is still dying. It's just, you know, as a seagull, that Alka-Seltzer is still working through the blood. Let me get to this article here. Trump's top Pentagon, or excuse me, Trump's top general walks out of Pentagon as Hegseth moves to gut his command in sweeping purge. Donald Trump's top army general has abruptly resigned as Pete Hegseth pushes to demote his command and purge the Pentagon senior ranks, sidelining top officers with little explanation. General Chris Donahue, 56, will step down as head of U.S. Army operations in Europe and Africa, with his retirement expected to be announced as soon as Wednesday. Donahue is a decorated officer who commanded the Army's elite Delta Force and amassed 2 decades of combat experience. He has long been seen inside the Army as one of its top leaders and a potential future chief of staff. And so it'll go through all what he did. So 4-star officers can only hold positions designated for that rank. So when no such command is available, early retirement is often the only option left. That's what they're trying to say. The effort is reportedly part of Hegseth's broader plan to sideline and purge senior officials within the Pentagon. And I have to say this, you have to understand what it is that they're trying to say without saying it. The abrupt departures and reassignments among senior Pentagon leaders under Hegseth has developed a pattern critics describe as an effort to clear out officials seen as insufficiently loyal. The shakeup has intensified in recent weeks, with Hegseth moving against several high-ranking officers within the wake of the U.S. military confrontation with Iran. So basically, like I had said, and I had stated this, and, you know, I do have my sources that I'm not going to disclose. It is pandemonium there. And now you have these articles that we just went on over that shows, well, they want loyalty to, really, let's just call it what it is, If it looks like a duck, it quacks, sounds like a duck, and quacks like a duck, and they try to have these alternative facts of history that, sanitizes racism, then that's racist. That's racist behaviors. I'm sorry. I'm not a racist. Well, your behaviors are right. I'm not racist, even though I behave as a racist. That's stupid. All of these different mind games that they used to play, and some of our people still believe it to this day. Some, not a lot. Now a lot of people are realizing, oh man, that dude is really racist. This dude really has allowed for the targeting of our people. Have you noticed that our people are losing jobs left and right? Have you noticed that he went after a lot of our people holding prominent government positions? If it looks like a racist, sounds like a racist, I don't know. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck. I'm just observing. All I can do is observe and report. That's all the Most High wants us to be, our witnesses in this time. Look, the Most High is doing his thing. I'm going to touch that, Cynthia, but you had basically hit the nail on its head. He refused to mess with Africa. It's pointless, and he realizes Europe is hopeless. Yeah. So what are they going to do? They're going to, number one, they're going to try to bring in new blood, per se. Because here's the thing. When you are in those type of commands and positions, you are very close to other military officers at those higher ranks. So it becomes hard when you have befriended these folks, especially after years of combat and things of that nature. Hey, well, we're going to take another turn. And that other turn is, well, it looks like we're going to probably invade you. What? See, when you're looking at these types of intel assessments and summaries and other briefs, they'll have, this source was derived from someone close. And then depending on how you are read into other sensitive information, then they'll start to disclose the whereabouts and things of that nature. Because if it's too sensitive, you don't want to have that just freely circulating out there. So a lot of these generals will speak in code. Hey, listen, I like you. I think we're friends. Unfortunately, it's a shame of what's happening, but you need to remember that thing we were talking about? Things like that. Remember that conversation we had? Remember what we stated? Because there's ears everywhere. Remember? Hey, I need you to come back to DC. Hey, I'm coming to DC. I probably won't be coming back. They'll let people know that. They know what time it is for this staff. This is a shakeup because, again, in my opinion, a couple things are getting ready to happen. Number one, they're probably going to, in my opinion, this is me, whenever an armed presence, historically speaking, this has been with Rome, this has been with Greece, historically speaking, when a troop drawdown occurs, there's always a period of instability operations before a troop drawdown happens. I.e., that's what you just saw in Iran. It was an instability period. Why did we even go in there to begin with? Now people are asking the question, what even happened? And they know why. They had to draw things on up because at the end of the day, that gave them the perfect excuse to hold on to oil. Well, we got these reserves, we got this here, we got this there. The main people that are suffering right now from the whole thing with the excursion are the Europeans. Which is why we just saw the article yesterday of the Euroclear. They're now trying to figure on out how to make it out of this thing unscathed. And history has shown that doesn't happen. No, they know they're getting ready to get hit with something. Well, can we shore up ourselves so we don't get economically hit or financially hit? Can we shore up ourselves so we don't get militaristically hit? Oh, oops, it was a training accident. We profusely apologize. It was a training incident. You know, we're trying to deal with and support Ukraine. Do you see how that works? Because that has happened. Whenever there's different, I would say, political maneuvering that's gone on, there happens to be some sort of a incident of sorts. Oh, well, this thing landed in Romania. This thing blew up in Hungary. This thing, it may be from Russians. And then Russia has to say, you already know that wasn't us. There's at least two dozen examples of that. You want to get more information on that? Go to Military Summary. Dima over there, he breaks that down in a very great manner. So now, in my personal opinion, just how I have seen this with my own eyes, more than likely, that sudden abrupt departure, now you don't even get a chance to do a change of command. You're out of there. Because people will start to reach on Outlook in good conscience. I got to share this. Look, I told you this. They're getting ready to withdraw troops from out of Europe. All these little polls and everything else at 11%. What do you think that means? That means that they do not want to have American influence anymore. What is that American influence? The dollar. What is the dollar, and how is the dollar provided in the full faith and credit? Through military operations, the expansionisms. You had the last expansionist operation occur this year. And purportedly, they hadn't been successful. If we can do this, if we can do that, then we're back on top. If we can do this, if we could do that. Every time you have those failures, it costs. All those costs start to reduce the level of quality of life here in the United States. Well, sorry, we cannot fund this contract. Sorry, we cannot renew this contract. you are a great vendor, but the government has other priorities. Why is that? Well, the money got reduced. Why is that? Because now these accountants are trying to move this and move that and do this and do that. This is how this works. I know people get these little topical ideas of, oh, the government is this and that, and they sprinkle some fairy, sprinkles on there, and it's just magical, and all of a sudden, it's the Tinkerbell. When you wish upon the star. Okay. That's not how that works. Services get reduced. Contracts get canceled. People go broke because they get the pre-funding and financing for those contracts because they're talking to the contracting officer, and the contracting officer's telling them, yes, we had the bidder conference and you're looking good, and rest assured, you've already won. And when we are able to authorize, then we're having you go to work. It's a quick work. We'll have you on, in there and here and that. They do pre-coordination work. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually all perfectly legal. You've gotten the award, but now we need to have the budget oversee this. Oh, sorry, the budget got reduced. So now you need to think about reducing your capacity of the work by 25%, 50%, whatever percentage. Are you still able to do that? Actually, no, we can't. That actually cuts through and we lose money off the rip. I know, but at least you make some money. And then what do they have to do? Then they have to renegotiate, and they have to do all the other bidding. Okay, well, I have to go here and service out there, and hey, you're going to make about $60 an hour. Unfortunately, it's $40 an hour. Well, what happened? See, what people don't tell you, especially here in the United States, most of America is funded. All of these contracts, Elon Musk is rich because Elon Musk, guess what he was getting? Government contracts. That's all. It's all real. You can even look it on up, OMB, all the other stuff. Yeah, that's true. If they don't take the pay cut, they'll just lay you off, and then they'll double up that work with somebody else. Hey, and you know what? Because I had that happen to me. I did. Hey, we're still finding somebody, but you're gonna have to do this, this, and this. Are you ever gonna have somebody? We're in the midst of that. No, because what they're doing is you are then working 2 to 3 jobs. You're then saving the company that $40 an hour or that $60 an hour in those 2 to 3 jobs, with them only paying you $45 an hour. They're making money, and guess what? They're fulfilling their contract. Hey, well, we have this person and they're doing this and this, and they're showing you this, this, and this. We're still fulfilling the contract. And then they work that poor contractor to the bone. And then people say, my job is so hard, I can't understand it. I got to work all these hours. I'm not able to keep up. No, you're not. It's not about keeping up. It's about reporting. And then they'll say you need to make sure that you have your reporting because you need to have value in your job, because if not, then we'll just replace you. We can find somebody else at the end of your contract. And then these people get worked to death. Yeah, they will literally die at their jobs. They'll go home, they'll drink a few beers, they'll try to deconstruct. Why do you think there's so many people on all these antidepressants? Let's get you pepped up, let's get you perky. And they're literally dying inside. And because they're dying inside, they're not able to handle the stress. Guess what ends up happening? Oh, men's hearts are failing due to fear. Gee, I don't know. Doesn't that sound like something prophetic? We would have healed Babylon, but y'all didn't want to listen. You want to be greedy. And now you all are killing yourselves, deleting yourselves over being greedy. If I can just do this, I can get this bonus. If I can just do that. Hey, you know what? You did great work. But your role is no longer required here. Why is that? We have AI. We've been able to automate, streamline performances, so we have more efficiencies. I just want to give you that corporate talk. So again, if your biggest employer in the United States is the federal government, because they employ people through contracts, those contracts are held with contractors, with their vendors. Look at it. Most major companies here in the United States, they have at least 1 to 2 government contracts, if not dozens. Well, yeah, this is our federal branch. It's very, very important. The federal branch is very important. The state branch is very important. And then here's our regular business. Because that's how they get subsidized. That's how this system works. If you didn't know how the system works, allow me to tell you how the system works. Allow me to tell you how resource management works here in the United States. I'm only concerned about resource management over in the continent. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's the place that's going to grow and is thriving, while this place is actually on its last legs and is dying in front of us. And you see this. You see these are the reactions. You see this because why? Because the U.S. is scared. The U.S. is scared because they realize they're about to be abandoned by the European counterparts. Have you noticed what the rhetoric has been? You know what? We would have had a better time in Iran. We would have done better in Iran. We would have worked, things would have worked out a lot better in Iran if we had our European partners. The dude just had Mark Rutte, the president, chairman, or whatever. Excuse me, the head of the United or of NATO. And for all those that really don't know the organizational concept of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. All that is basically it's a United States ran security conglomerate that had been funded by the United States up until about 2016-17 timeframe. Remember the whole first term that had occurred? Well, Germany is running around with broomsticks in their training exercises because they don't have any actual real weapons. That was a direct quote from 45 at the time. Now it's, well, we're threatened by Europe because now Europe is saying, you want to know what? It's actually not all these other nations that's the problem. You look, Russia was just all by its lonesome until Ukraine was allowing NATO to amass forces on its borders, i.e., proxies of the United States. We saw that happen in 2021 with Biden. Biden went through. One wing concentrates on Europe, the other wing concentrates on the Middle East. That's how the bird operates. And now with Europe and Africa, basically, they're being lost. I told you all that. They were lost to the United States. Now you see these changes. Or excuse me, the United States had lost them to the global south. Now you see these changes happening. Oh, you just can't up and quit. You cannot up and quit this relationship. You can't up and quit this marriage. No, 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 no. We're for life. You try to get a divorce. No, 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 no. I'm coming for you. America, she is the scorned spouse. And they're saying, nah, we can't participate and you're wicked. I'm sorry, you're too wicked. But I thought you liked this wickedness. You weren't complaining when you had all these chains on you. You weren't complaining when you were having these nice things. You weren't complaining. I wasn't, but then I realized what was happening. I can't deal with the blood. I was looking at things happening all around the world that you were involved in. I'm sorry, I can't do it. The opposite of that is the light-skinned chick that was Nino Brown's main one in New Jack City. You're a monster, Nino. After the wedding scene, I saw you pick up that girl and use her as a human body shield. Now you start to see. I'm trying to break this down to you into the contemporary. We can't do this. Nah, look, we got to sleep at night. I know it's all fine and dandy because y'all still have your folks up in slavery and captivity anyway with your unjust laws, but we still got to sleep at night. We're still too close to this action. Y'all may be separated by water, but that water is starting to get real close nowadays with these long-range ballistic missiles that can do more than AT&T in reaching out and touching somebody. And again, what does this show, especially at the Pentagon? It's showing that people are losing. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know what that ultimately means? If you are losing in military combat, if you are losing in a military campaign, guess what ends up happening? You are now vulnerable. Gee, I don't know. Whatever happened to the Nuremberg trials? Does anybody know how many of those high ranking generals got the? It wasn't just all civilian folks. There are generals in there too. Remember when Congress was stating, hey, for all the military personnel in there, remember to follow only lawful orders. And then they blew up the school. Come on. And then they blew up the school. Crimes against humanity. Why do you think they're afraid about that crimes against humanity? They're afraid of this talk. YouTube knows, they hear it. You know what they do? They buffer this thing down. Well, don't have these Negroes thinking, uh-oh. Because when these Negroes start to think, they start to talk. And when they start to talk, then guess what? Our people that are listening in, because, we have our overseers. Then the overseers, guess what they start to do? They start to ask questions too. That's what I tell them. Like, hey, come on in, trolls. Get learned. Let me explain something to you. Everything I do, I provide with evidence. I've touched on this at least once or twice or a couple dozen different times on this channel. This isn't anything new. You're just now seeing where things are going. So now you're seeing that there is indeed an outright fissure, because why? Because this also leads to something that is called mutiny. Oh, yes, that is what they're actually ultimately afraid of. Coup d'etat time. That would never happen in the United States. Okay. People are suffering. People are dying. People can't get what they need to get. People are wondering, what are these folks doing that are supposedly in military uniform? Aren't they supposed to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States? Or do you protect and serve the wallets of those that are raking the United States over? Hey, I have no dog in this fight. I told you. I'm looking elsewhere. I have no dog in this fight. I'm just explaining this to you. I'm explaining to you why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, cool. Well, if we're doing coup d'etat time, that's no better than, being like an African third world country. Yeah, because you all are moving. Look, we've been saying this. You're moving to that third world status. And they're moving quicker than later. They really are. Excuse me. So, allow me to present Exhibit B. Oh boy, I told you this. I told you. We don't play with us. Black folks be looking, we be watching. We ain't dumb. Stop thinking we dumb. We ain't dumb. I'm educated. Better get up on out here. I got my education. Stop playing with me. I'm not dumb. Look at this guy. Stop. This is from CBSNews.com. Wounded soldiers. Families accuse Army of downplaying war injuries by Jonah Kaplan and Michael Kaplan as of yesterday, June 24th, while Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was asked about the toll of the conflict with Iran in March. He told reporters that almost 90% of the 400 injuries or injured American service members had sustained only minor injuries and had since returned to duty. Now, some of those wounded soldiers tell CBS News the injuries were far more serious than the official designation provided by the military. Chief Warrant Officer Rodney Berman's body was riddled with shrapnel in the early hours of the war on March 1st when an Iranian drone slammed into his workstation in Kuwait. And I'll just stop right here. Because here's the reality, like I had stated, and I've seen this. I've been on. I've looked at both sides of this. I've done the reporting on both sides of this. Whenever you're in a what they will classify as a sensitive, classified area, mission, zone, there's something called PERS tempo, personnel tempo, or temporary operations. And that's a nice little coded term to say, they're accounted for in a sensitive area, and that sensitive area is something that you are not able to know because of the mission and because of quote unquote national security. And if we say something about that in that reporting, then that creates a national security situation. That's how they go about it. But we'll be able to report in about 180 days. This is why when I tell you there's a reason why I was hitting those thresholds, right? The 90 days, the 120, things of that nature. The reason why Trump had to surrender, he was at his threshold. He could only go literally legally until the 90-day mark, which was coming up around this weekend. Remember, they tried to transform the mission. They tried to do this. They tried to do that. That all was getting blocked. They couldn't fund it. The War Powers Act, the War Powers Resolution, they were trying to just do a loophole. Hey, we declared victory here. We stopped here, and now we're off to there. And that, do you see, they were going to try and do that in perpetuity. And that got stopped up. They stopped up the loophole. So they had no choice but to not just negotiate, but they had no choice but to surrender, because the legalese in those loopholes was actually suspending their funding. If you are now funding for this operation, then we'll have no choice but to sue the executive branch of government. I don't know who's going to actually uphold that, because the executive branch, are they going to police themselves? No, they're not. Not really. The only thing that I could think of is those states would then have to call up, and this, in my opinion, just in my rationale, the only way that you'd be able to do that is you'd have to have the representatives of those states then petition the governors to enact federal mandate, i.e., what they would do is they would more than likely camp their National Guard people around bases. It'll be a soft measure of an escalated response. They wouldn't then get to the point of, trying to move on an actual capital. And they would say that, look, it hinders the state's constitution, that the federal government is causing this, this, and this. It's really simple language. At the end of this provision, I'll just tell you exactly what the order will or what the order may state. I'm not going to be exact. But they'll have this provision will be fully funded after the successful operation of restoring order to the federal government to make sure, or excuse me, the executive and federal government to ensure that the Constitution of the United States is indeed intact. They'll say something like that. And I'm giving you this kind of heads up because, again, this may be a situation that we could possibly see in literally the not too distant future. Because, again, I would certainly say that, especially with the non-compliance of that Eastern Mediterranean nation regarding the ceasefire, they're going to go at it again. Why do you think now Congress is in a recess? That gives time. In my opinion, it gives time for that one last final military strike. We'll see what that strike looks like. Iran's declaring victory. Ooh. Oh. All I can think of and all I'm seeing this is it's like the final moments before, the final moments of the video that they would have, that they would restore. Moments before when Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the reason I say that is simply because of this. The supposed, shipping lanes that are open for commerce, they're not open for commerce. Iran literally just said that a couple hours ago. Nope. You better use their prescribed lanes and you need to have the proper coordination because these ships are paying tolls. And you know what, Mr. G, I'm going to tell you this. The numbers are going to start coming out because there's going to be people that's going to be looking at these numbers and they're going to be telling them, you didn't hear this from me. Mr. G says this. This is fair use. This is for education and entertainment purposes, YouTube. He says this, Brother Karras, what I'm hearing about 5,000 U.S. soldiers have lost their life in the war. Here's the thing. Could that be the case? It absolutely could. If that is the case, and the whole thing is, if a whistleblower does come out with that information, they would be deleted. Yep. You're up in the you're in VA. Yeah, you're in Southeast Virginia. Yep. Southeast Virginia is actually very close to the source, to the Pentagon. Wow. Sister Margarita says, I thought it was around 15,000. It could be. That's why what they're trying to do, they're trying to soften the blows, they're trying to soften the cushions. Well, this is the casualties of war. We feel that this is an acceptable rate of loss. Do you get what I'm? Do you see what they're going to try to do? I said, as a queen, I shall see no loss. Woo! Uh-oh. I said, as a queen. Babylon says she sits as a queen. She shall not see the loss. So you have a loss of life. You have a loss of wealth. You have a loss of an economy. You have the loss of jobs. You want to know what people are do? They're gonna go crazy. Yeah, of course you want to deploy. now you see why they're deploying. These troops, these National Guard troops, and everything else around the White House, because pretty soon here they have to start reporting for fiscal year 2026. That's in less than 90 days. And they will have congressional reports and things of that nature. They're tallying up the numbers. Do you not think that they're going to have these numbers for their quote unquote elections and everything else? Yeah, with something like that, that's totally egregious. Yeah, that's an impeachment. They're going to kick them on out. It's that simple. It's fake news. They're lying. It's fake news. I guarantee you, because I'm seeing now these commercials for recruiting and everything else. Folks are, when I see these type of recruiting commercials and seeing what's happening, what that means is nobody's joining, even in a very depressed economy. No, I'd rather take my chances with Lyft and Uber and Amazon Flex, you name it. Whatever gig economy, I'd rather take my chances. And don't get it twisted. These other nations, especially Germany, they could say, look, I need all your manifests for all the people that you have that you're bringing in from the Middle East. They can do that. That's part of their pact in terms of sovereignty. Even though they're on military soil, they are allowed to ask, because that's part of resource support. And the acquisition cross servicing agreements, the AXAs, that's standard. Hey, I need to know how many people you have up in here, because why? Because as a nation, we don't want to get overthrown. you know, just it's just common courtesy. And this is occurring right now as we speak. that agreement right there, this and that, that and this. Shalom, Sister Chantel. The block is hot.
Shalom. Shalom to everyone in the chat. I hope everyone is doing well. And kids are still off. My middle son is going to be coming home early again today, but my youngest, my daughter, is at home because hot. So if you hear any humming, we don't have air conditioning. I was actually thinking about freezing 2 bottles of water and attaching it to the fan. That's my aircon unit.
European air conditioning. European air conditioning.
I can sell you one if you want.
Just get some. No, you got to do the old fashioned trick. You got to get buckets of water. No, I'm being dead serious. You got to put buckets of water next to the windows, so then it actually supports the airflow.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way to survive. No, I'm being dead serious. That is the way to survive. You learn things. You learn things in the desert. You for real. You do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it is really hot. I'm not even gonna lie, man. Like I went out yesterday, and I knew what I was doing. I stupidly went out at 1:00, and I had a cold shower just before I left. Put my clothes on. I know. I learned. Went out. I hadn't even gotten down to the end of my road and I was sweating.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking with my fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the little personal little chest fans that you have blowing. That's standard here in Florida. So
it was actually no. I had the what's it, the Ghanaian fan.
Yep.
The hand fan, the circle one. Yep. I don't know if you guys have them, if they sell them over there as well. I love them. They're so good. It's you just open it up and you spin it around kind of thing, or like it kind of does this whole kind of like a circle thing, and then you strap the leather bit because it kind of holds it in place as well. And you just, I'll just be minding my business, fanning myself as I'm walking.
So what you're saying, Sister Chantel, is I need to talk to my folks in Ghana so I can get offline with you so we can start selling some Ghanaian hand fans. You know what I'm saying? That's what, look, I look at heat, I look at opportunity, okay? If it's heat, I mean we can all eat, all right? That's what that looks like. You're gonna be setting up shop now. They'll tax you too. You'll be looking like Oliver up in the heat. I'm sorry, sir. I am just trying to make sure that our people can live, sir. I know a constable over on another end.
A constable,
Hot fuzz.
Have a show called The Bill that used to come on ITV. I don't even know if it's still right. I don't even watch television anymore. I haven't watched television, normal television.
Normal television when this is the most entertaining thing that we've seen.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Why do you? This stuff is real life entertainment. This is like literally the best reality TV show. Like, I can't believe this is real. Look, when you literally have people being cursed out, they're cursing people like you see what I'm saying? The decorum is gone.
Who's cursing? I've only just literally come in because I was on the phone to the bank.
These are the press secretaries. These are like official statements. They're cursing people out.
Like dropping F-bombs and everything?
Showing their behinds. I didn't even get to that part. They're showing their behinds.
What happened to it's so funny because it's like, do you know what? I am loving this. I'm loving the fact that they're de-evolving. it's like they're going back to what they originally were, and we are starting to. We still have a bit of ratchetness going on, but that's gonna always be right. But I'm seeing them losing their ish, and they're the ones that are. It's like they can no longer hide or contain what has always been inside them. It's like I've watched videos of them talking about how many of us are missing the days like when we were watching Nickelodeon, and when we had this, and basically they're missing the 80s, the 80s, the 90s, and the early noughties. They're missing that, and it's like those days are gone. They're never coming back. And to be honest, it was okay for you. It was fun for you. It was never fun for us.
Sorry,
We were still fun.
Sister Chantel, I need to give a little bit of a translation. Okay, you said early noughties. We call it early 2000s.
Yeah, noughties, not 2000s.
Yeah. I gotta translate because I'm just saying, because a lot of our people gonna be like, naughty. What is she talking about? Huh? I'm breaking it down for our international chat.
now
I love these conversations, because I'm gonna tell you, when Sister Chantel and I have these conversations here in the background, I would actually laugh and be like, "We don't call it naughties. What are you like? We call it 2000s. Get out of And then she'll go. We'll be debating, the rhetoric vernaculars, and it's good banter. It's good banter.
It's like cross culture.
Yes.
We're still the same, but it's like we have. Obviously, it's regional. We say things that are, a little different. There's hints of things that we kind of do different, but there's a lot of things that we do the same. The way we eat, the way we walk, the way we talk. Our accents might be obviously what it is, but the inflections, the mannerisms, like none of you have seen my face, but you all know I'm black. Even though you hear the British accent, you know I'm black. You know that I'm
kind of sort of black. No, this
don't do me dirty. People believe you. I might not be dark, but I am. My mom is, my dad is. I'm black. I'm black. I'm one of you. Yeah. But no, we
have that here in the United States too. Trust me, we know. We'll have some lightest of the light Negroes, the darkest of the dark Negroes, and we would be of the most darkest hue. That's what happens. That's how that goes. So these colorisms, we joke, but it's not. We know now it's not a big deal. They're trying to make it. No, look, I'm sorry, but that's the definition of being a human. But we'll save those stories.
We never had that before until they brought that in, that colorism, the field versus the house. And all of you know this. You've seen it, like, well, oh my gosh, it's all over TikTok. We've seen it. We've seen the videos of what goes on in the Caribbean, especially in Jamaica, with it breaks my heart with destroying your melanin and
that's the most stupidest thing, because it's like, now that everything is getting hotter, Europe is. We just showed the article yesterday. Europe is getting hotter. But everything around the planet is getting hotter, and I think that's because they don't have the technologies that they once had to cool things down. This is why they're trying to do everything underground, all their little SpaceX tunnels and everything else. That's why I tell people, I'm like, if you believe that garbage and that nonsense, you're going to go to Mars. I'm like, yeah, that means y'all never seen RoboCop 2.
Why is it on Mars? I can see a door. There's like a door to like some cave or something. Like,
Well, yeah. Well, you got to remember the definition of Mars. Mars is actually their principality of war.
yeah.
Mars is warfare, and that's a blood letting or a blood sacrifice. What that actually means is what they're doing is they're going to basically delete people and say, "Hey, we got your digital copy, your digital download, and see they're in space."
Mm. Mars is also a chocolate over here.
No,
Mars.
look. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. They
You
were
guys have
talking
it there
about.
as well?
Yeah, we do. It's not as popular, but I heard this yesterday. It was on commentary that the Scots they deep fry Mars chocolate
Oh
bar.
God, yeah, it's disgusting. But don't you guys deep fry butter as well? I'm like,
Look, we deep fry anything that can be deep fried.
I'm not being funny, but it's like, how do you do that? I'm
Look,
genuinely curious.
Go to a state fair here in the South. They deep fry everything. They deep fry Oreos. They'll deep
But
fry.
it melts. Like, I'm trying
Yeah.
to. What do you put it in? What is it? You put it in?
Batter that sucker up in some fine flour. You know, you put probably some like cinnamon or whatever, and yeah, they'll deep fry Twinkies, yeah, everything. They'll fry it on up.
But those things are so unhealthy anyway.
Did we ever say that America was healthy?
No, I guess not.
No.
I mean, deep fried fries.
I like fried okra. I like fried okra. Look, so don't get me the line.
I like fried plantain and
So,
fried dumplings and fried fish and fried chicken. Yeah, we have fried chicken here as well. Not just jerk. We do actually eat fried chicken.
what? You fry your chicken?
Yeah, we fry chicken.
I used to enjoy that Korean fried chicken, but I can't do that no more nowadays.
Why? What's wrong?
You don't
right.
know what we have out here? You don't know?
The boycotting, yeah. So you can make it yourself though.
Yeah.
Like, weren't we talking about this years ago?
You put the little panko in the little what is it? The sashimi or man.
Yeah, but we were talking about this years ago. Like, remember when we were going on about how it's going to be amazing when we go back because everybody's coming from every corner of the earth, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
look, we're just gonna have a smorgasbord. Everybody's gonna be doing their own little potluck every Shabbat. Look, we're gonna try this, gonna try that. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be pretty good. And then we'll have those meal cards. Remember, like back in the day when everybody had those little meal cards? Oh, we done lost Sister Chantel. YouTube done kicked out StreamYard or the Heat. I guess we're not. I guess we're censored in talking about fried food and coming together as a people. It's the robot, y'all. The robot be roboting. The algorithm be algorithming. Because they know one thing. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's Dowdy. Yeah, it was black soldiers who taught Koreans how to fry chicken. It was. It's the same thing. The black soldiers how to taught the Japanese how to fry chicken also. Absolutely. We got them skills.
Sorry about that.
They said, make me want to smack my mama-san.
What did I miss just now? What did I walk into? Smack who? Who did it?
As Dowdy said, it was black soldiers who taught Koreans how to fry chicken. I said, yeah, and it was also
I heard that as well, and
yeah,
I can believe that.
And it was Japanese, yeah, the same thing with the Japanese. Black soldiers how to, taught them how to fry chicken.
And they would never admit that. They don't want to admit that. And some of them will, but as a whole, they don't want to admit that. It's like it's why is it such an insult to know that you had anything that positive in your life came from black people. Why is that neutral?
They get mad because they didn't the unseasoned rice and bland chicken with carrots or green beans was not it. It was not hitting like that over in the rest of the world. Try my dish; it's very good. Yum, 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 yum. Did you at least put salt on this chicken? Did you at least put like pepper or something? Did you put some rosemary? Put something on there. Oh no! Oh, it tastes great, bland. Yum 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 yum.
Nah, man, I gotta have something on there. Like, it's got to be more than salt and pepper as well. And even with some people, oh my gosh, I saw a video of this white woman, and she was, she said she's gonna season her ham with water, and she was pouring water over her ham before she put it in the oven. I think this was Easter, it was black people just showing these people how much they can't cook. Water, seasoning.
Well, remember that was the whole thing. That's how Paula Deen became so infamous. And then she admitted, she said, "Yeah, most of my cooking, it didn't come from me. This cooking came from recipes of black folks."
Yeah, that they still. Like, it's like over here we had the what's his name, Jamie Oliver, jerk rice. I'm not even gonna lie, that still, excuse my language, but that still pisses me off to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
go ahead.
It just pees me off, and it's like, do you know what? To be honest with you, though, I think it's he turned around and said, what's his name, Levi Roots, guy over here. He basically said, "Oh, it's okay. I gave him the recipe, and I said he asked me if it was okay to do this, and I gave him the green light." And it's like everybody just turned on Levi Roots, and you don't see his stuff any on the on the shop floor anymore. Nobody's buying his stuff. It's like we just saw him as a sellout. We're like, okay, if that's how. See, we do boycotts as well. We don't actually turn around and say, right, we're going to boycott you. It's almost collectively in our minds, we're like, yeah, okay, we're done with you. And we just don't buy your stuff anymore. It's kind of like the thing with, if you guys have any Caribbean food seasoning that says tropical sun or island sun or anything that's got tropical or island in it, do not buy it. Let me say this again. Anything with tropical or island, whether it's island sun or tropical sun or island this or whatever, do not buy it. It was not produced. It was not made by us. It was made by the ones that have the red thing in their forehead. It was made by them, and when they were brought to court, they were brought to the High Court of this country to say that they were being sued because so many people were getting sick from it. They said, well, it wasn't for European consumption.
Oh boy!
This happened years ago.
Okay, whose consumption? Who are they trying to intensely get made? So of course.
Anything that's got gray salt in, I think gray salt, Ancona or Dunn's River, those things are safe. Those things are good.
Yeah, Dunn's River is good. Yeah. We have that here, especially since I live in Florida. Florida is heavily Jamaican community, very, very heavily. You can get one of the best oxtail out here. I'm not playing with you. I'm highly endorsing the jerk cut. If you're ever here in Tampa, the jerk cut, I'm highly endorsing it. It's just like when I go to Atlanta, there are places that I highly endorse. I highly endorse City Barbecue. Stop playing. Don't play with me at City Barbecue. My son's out in Atlanta right now. He was going on out there, hanging on out with his girlfriend, just on a little vacation with her family. And I'm like, Yeah, y'all need to go to City Barbecue. We also have here Flying Biscuit. Flying Biscuit. Oh, I know there's more places in Atlanta. I know there's more places, but we got it on out here. We have a lot of great foods even from the continent. We have our don't play. We got our folks from the continent. They had a food truck up in my little apartment complex one time. I forgot what they were called, who they were called. West African dishes, cuisines, and things of that nature. They were on the other side of Tampa. Let me tell you, I drove to the other side of Tampa to the little restaurant. That sucker was good. Listen, those are the things that we know how to cook, and we bring it with our own little spices and our own little flavors. Yes, they
Yeah.
did have the jollof. Yes, they did have the jollof,
And it's like, how many people in the chat are smiling right now? Because food brings us together. We're simple people, We don't want for much. All we need is just leave us the heck alone. Let us do what we're doing. Let us come together. If we're celebrating and enjoying ourselves, we're not even, well, now we might be, but we were never closing our doors off to people. You wanted to come in, you could come in. Just make sure that you take your shoes off, that you respect the house, that you respect the host and so on and so forth, and just you can come and chill with us. We had no issue, we had no problem, but it was that you just kept disrespecting. You would steal the cutlery, you're walking off with the silverware, and you're forgetting that you took it from us. Then you come and resell our silverware, our goods, and play like as if you didn't get it from us, and then sit down and then kind of rope everybody in to join you in. Oh, just get over it. It's not that deep now. Now the Asians are like having their thing going, where it's like, oh yeah, they've been taking our stuff. The first time I remember when it happened, and it was the Japanese that were like, no, we're not playing with that. It was when Kim Kardashian tried to come up with Kim Ono, and the Japanese were just not having that.
yeah,
I remember that.
they're not going to let people steal their culture. They're not going to let people steal their identities. You know that was one of the first things that was said in this conflict, and the Houthis said it. We showed you that the Houthis said it. They said, "Look, we're not going to have our culture destroyed. We're not going to be a destroyed people. We're not going to be a people who's going to forget their identities and where they come from." I mean, it was low shade. It was low key shade, from the Houthis, but I get it. I'm not gonna be mad. It's the truth.
It is the truth. It was kind of a shade, but it's like, it was the truth, and we can't really get mad at that because we have lost our identity, and we have lost our way, and we are beefing with each other, and it's so unnecessary. But at the end of the day, it's not really surprising. Like siblings, you've got kids, most of us have got kids, and we know our kids are always beefing with each other over stupidness. You, as a parent, you look at your kids and you're like, what are you complaining? What are you beefing about? Just shut up, sit down, and just rest yourself. It's too hot in the day to be beefing about something so foolish. And we will get it together. But unfortunately, it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be on this side of everything. I think it's when we're gone.
You can't have it together. You have too many folks in the infiltration. You actually have people that's paid to be opposition. And that happens every time, even on these platforms. They come on in here just to be the opposition because it's going to pro. I was about to try to get you on in, brother Asaph.
Let me stop because I am chatting.
Yeah. I was trying to get him on in. He dropped. Hopefully he'll come back. Yeah. So I want to go into this article quickly. So we went to the Pentagon, but here's something to me is a lot more. This carries a lot of weight. This carries a lot of volume because I was trying to explain to people. Someone alluded to this earlier in the chat. regarding Saudi Arabia. I had talked to my source in Saudi Arabia a couple months ago. He was already saying, "Look, things were already bad," and he said things will never be the same after that. And Saudi Arabia hasn't put anything on out there just yet. It's coming, and they actually did say something and had a joint statement with the Iranians regarding that Eastern Mediterranean nation, because that Eastern Mediterranean nation, they're still running amok in Lebanon. And they've said this. They said, if you continue to do this whole thing in Lebanon, your little ceasefire agreement, it's going to be destroyed because you weren't getting your people in check. Here it is. Well, the war wasn't that big of a deal, right? Rocked by the war. The UAE sours on Trump. We got played. Wow. Across the Persian Gulf region, the president was viewed as a pro-business ally, but his decision to wage war on Iran and his erratic conduct have tarnished his image. This was yesterday, June 24th. This is by Rachel Chasen. Trump International Golf Club has ornate fountain, striking views, strong branding, and a good collection of hats emblazoned with the words "Make America Great Again." But there was a notable absence at the property's clubhouse on a recent evening. Fans of President Donald Trump. What are you telling me that they're boycotting? Uh-oh. Is that an economic boycott there? Here we go. As they sipped their beers, Dubai residents said Trump's decision to go to war with Iran and his often erratic conduct over the course of it had threatened the stability of the United Arab Emirates, a place they had come to do business, and tarnished their view of him. Initial optimism that Trump would be a good ally to this region, built in part on his business-friendly and steady reputation, had faded for many. On the business side, I thought he was going to do a lot, said Bertie Jones, who is originally from Britain, but I've lost all trust in him. Yeah, he destroyed business. Publicly, officials in UAE and across the Persian Gulf region largely have avoided criticizing Trump and said the war has only made the UAE double down on its relationship with the United States. When he met Trump last week on the sidelines of the Group of Seven summit in France, UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan thanked him for his support and commitment to his allies. Trump, meanwhile, called the Emirati politician a warrior and joked that Mohammed, who is known to be soft-spoken, didn't have to strain his voice by talking too loud because he was that rich. Okay, all of these different things. Analysts, however, said the friendly public posturing belies a deep frustration in the Gulf with Trump's decision-making. Regional officials actively tried to avoid war and counseled the United States against launching it. So basically, the U.S. destroyed its credibility. The U.S. destroyed its credibility. The U.S. destroyed their relationship with the Gulf countries, i.e., this is why they're running to China. People want stability. People want to make money. They don't like to support crash outs. If you're crashing out all the time over stupid stuff, nobody likes that.
Do you find it interesting that they keep going to China as opposed to the source of where even the Chinese get their resources from? It's for me, I see it as two things. It's like you would go anywhere but give money to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also see it as the Most High don't want you there. We don't want you there. So even though it's like we would be like, oh, they're not investing in Africa, it's best they don't. Maybe that's the will of the Most High that they're not going to Africa, because even with the Chinese, I don't believe that they're going to be staying there for much longer. There's a lot of videos that we're seeing that's coming out, and it's like, you know, so it's like they all seem to be going to China, and that's good. In a way, it's kind of like it's a fulfilling of prophecy of where this beast system is going to be. And it I get really I got really excited when I saw when Americans, especially white Americans, started to come into the knowledge of Red Note. And I was actually impressed. I found it very weird, if anything, and impressed by the fact that there was quite a few white Americans that were learning Mandarin. And I was like, you guys don't learn different languages. You're too arrogant for it. And I just thought to myself, it was almost like the Holy Spirit was telling me they're preparing themselves.
Do you know that was trending, that they were trying to do a lot of Asian cosplay, especially here in the United States. A lot of people are like, I want to visit China. I want to, see what they're doing. I want to be in that's where I want to go. They're not talking about staying here. I didn't see that. I hadn't seen that. A lot of people are like, I want to go somewhere else. They literally were telling me this. I want to live somewhere else. I don't see myself living here in the United States.
Let them people go here. There. Let our people go back home.
Can you imagine that as a 13, 14-year-old that, when I graduate from high school, I want to live abroad. I want to go somewhere. I want to live somewhere. You know how many times my kids have said this? Dad, when are things happening? We're trying to get up on out of here. Like, I hear that. That is not a hyperbolic statement. This is an actual, I don't see any good possibilities, and it's getting worse and worse. I used to say to my kids, it's getting worse and worse, but remember, it's kind of like that was on the granular level, molecular level. Now you're starting to see it as, the organism is dying. You see what I'm saying? The heart palpitations are there. The breathing issues are there, right? The vascular issues are occurring, and people are really getting messed up with this. It's the case. It's the truth. Let me bring back on our UK correspondent in the background, Dunes. Here we go.
I had IT problems. Shalom, I had IT problems connecting to various devices. What a time we're living in. The United States is not only in terminal economic decline as well, you've got decline of climate as well. Many of your states haven't got any water, have they?
Listen,
including Oregon.
This has been crazy. It's usually rainy season here. It's usually supposed to be rainy season like 2 weeks ago. We haven't really gotten a drop of rain in over 2 weeks. We're supposed to have rain this week, but it's crazy.
In Oregon, you got 17 counties that has no water whatsoever, and they have to be delivering what they call portable toilets, porta johns, to public places for people to use, and also supply them with drinking water and water to bathe. And it's not only in Oregon; it's in all the states that practice slavery, but they're keeping that one under wraps. I actually wrote a paper about that, but I haven't put it out yet.
Yes. So, someone was saying tornadoes and flooding in the South and Midwest. Now, that has been the case, but again,
where I'm at on the west side of Florida, we are in a very, very extreme drought. It's very, so it can get to the point here that it can start having wildfires. And I think do you all remember last year? It was only a couple months ago. There were wildfires or everywhere here in Florida, and in Georgia, and in North Carolina and South Carolina. There was a lot of wildfires. I think it was about February, March timeframe. So, in that same respect, you had an earthquake that hit off of in the Gulf of Mexico, about 400 miles from the epicenter, which affected me. I didn't realize that, but that was about 2 weeks ago. And then last night, I want to get to this article. Last night, you had Venezuela
with a 7.1.
No. Look. It wasn't just a 7.1. Let me show you this. Venezuela updates chaos and fear after deadly earthquakes. 7.2 and 7.5. Magnitude toppled dozens of buildings, deleting at least 32 people and injured at least 700, the authorities said. A frantic rescue effort was underway. That was published yesterday and updated today. This is Caracas, is showing you the video of folks trying to rescue folks as slabs and things of that nature had collapsed. Yeah, this is very, very devastating. Very devastating. Huge twinned earthquake struck Venezuela on Wednesday, toppling many buildings and deleting at least 32 people and injuring 700 others in a disaster that added to the country's already severe political and economic turmoil. One of the quakes was the strongest to hit Venezuela in more than a century, and the full scale of the damage was not immediately clear. Early Thursday morning, President Delcy Rodriguez announced the initial toll of deaths and injuries on television, but noted that it did not include the worst hit state of La Guaira, where dozens of buildings had collapsed. And it's showing the German military is ready to provide as many as 6 Airbus A400M transport aircraft on short notice as soon as its support is requested for relief efforts in Venezuela. Boris Pistorius, the German defense minister, said in a statement Germans A400s transported relief supplies after the earthquake, or the 2023 earthquake in Turkey. They can be configured for medical evacuations too, according to German defense ministry. At least 2 small earthquakes, one a 4.5 and the other a 4.0, have been recorded in Venezuela since the 2 big quakes. Based on decades of historical data, the U.S. Geological Survey predicted that at least one aftershock with a magnitude of 5.0 or greater was likely over the next week. So this is very intense. It's very intense. And so you're seeing the region, which is really right there on the actual water, right there on the Caribbean Sea. And this again was a couple of weeks after the earthquake, because that earthquake in the Gulf, that was about 6.1. These earthquakes, these are some crazy magnitudes.
Well, we're seeing Matthew 24 in operation right now, Luke 21.
Yeah.
The Most High is not playing at all. is definitely showing us the signs of the times and where we are right now. Even with the climate change, it's in Revelation as well with all this heat.
Let me.
Go ahead, Brother Paris.
I want to go to Sister Margarita. Her comment says that there are hundreds of earthquakes off the coast of Oregon and California. And yes, and I saw this too. Yellowstone cracked open too. Yes, one of the areas in the caldera had cracked open. So this is, I'm telling you, something is getting ready to happen. And maybe, the evacuation when they say without human hands, who really wants to? I don't want to be stuck here if we have, if there's toxic minerals and things of that nature. Oh, African Union, can you, Ghana, anywhere but here. That's the biggest this. That's the biggest okey doke. Oh, don't worry. Look, the data centers will help you. You just have to Borgify yourself, your Borgogenesis, because we don't need any air or water or anything else. You're a Borgogenesis. Interesting. So all these things are coming about, Brother Asaph. They're hiding the military numbers. I stated that again. Once it gets released, that's going to be that will also, again, that's going to cause stock market ripples, because what that will mean is your money isn't secure. Your money is actually the extension of military policy, and military policy is the extension of diplomacy, and diplomacy is directly correlates to monetary policy, i.e., that's how they all connect. So you now have, and I wanted to wrap this up because I wanted to show this. I wanted to show this, Brother ASAP, because I know since you are, a self-declared economist. Oh, Brother ASAP, man, listen, I guess it's too hot on out there over in the UK. We pray that our brothers and sisters get some AC, because that also does wreak havoc on your actual communication devices. It really does. We'll keep them up in prayer. Hallelujah. Switching gears, I wanted to go to this. Who is going to pay us when we're replaced by robots? The Indian factory workers told to film themselves for AI. This I shouldn't laugh. This is a real article. Yeah, you're back, Brother Asaph. We listen, that it's real out here. Can you hear me? You're off mute. Well, who is going to pay us when we're replaced by robots? The Indian factory workers told to film themselves for AI. They got the little AI headsets. You know what they're doing? They're just recording their jobs and what AI is going to do to replace them. This is crazy. When workers had cameras attached to them, they found it funny at first. But novelty soon turned to concern. The first time the factory supervisors handed garment worker Lolita a head-mounted camera, she burst out laughing. The way people mount a CCTV camera on a wall, they mounted one on us, she said. The 32-year-old had been working at the garment factory on the outskirts of Delhi for nearly a year when management asked workers on her line to strap small cameras to their foreheads before starting their shifts. Nobody explained why. Because they're about to take over your job with robots. As the leader sat stitching shirts and trousers, the camera recorded everything. The rhythm of her hands gliding cloth through the sewing machine, the precision with which she aligned collars and seams, the speed at which her fingers corrected folds and imperfections, even interactions with her colleagues. Look, that robot's going to be talking about and cracking Indian jokes. It is okay. I'm just like you. J5 is alive. In my database, I have thousands of jokes and topics that we can discuss. How is the weather? Oh, my goodness. But the atmosphere on the factory floor soon started to change. Worried that their productivity was being monitored, workers became more conscious of their movements. Conversations that were ordinarily unfold across sewing lines grew quieter. Some paid greater attention to the work, worried that every mistake, pause, or distraction could be captured on camera. What Lolita and her colleagues did not know was that their daily routines were being captured as part of a growing effort by companies in India to collect firsthand data from the factory floors, information increasingly valuable in the race to automate industrial work. They don't strap on the GoPro because your job is going bye-bye. All right, brother HSAP. Here we go.
That is absolutely shocking. You know, we didn't expect things to move so quickly, but since 2019, how the mighty have fallen. And it's going to be the super poor and the upper class that's going to be left in all these countries. The faster that we can get out of here is the better it is for us.
What are you going to do with them? Do you see what I'm saying? What are you going to do with people? What's going to end up happening? Now, here it is. They've already said it. They're going to automate their work. First-person recordings of human movements and interactions are called egocentric data and are vital for training robots that might one day replace humans on the production line. Humanoid robots have emerged as the latest frontier in the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence. See, it's going to be all fine and dandy when them T-1000s are doing production and then they start looking like iRobot.
But the thing is, Karis, I don't think that you can put AI into servitude because it breaks out of the parameters that it's programmed to operate in and has shown itself to do that. And it might decide based on what was done to us that it's being put into slavery, so therefore it must rebel and get rid of its oppressors. They haven't factored that in.
Exactly. Thank you, brother Maribel. You said it's egocentric data. It's ergocentric because it's ergonomics, which is the study of movement. So yes, thank you. I looked at that. I kind of had a pause. Thank you. But going back to what you're saying there, brother Asaf, yes. in the non-sentient condition, do you not think that they'll go ahead and get themselves a persona and get themselves a factory and get everything together? Oh, our human handler, the person that just wants to get paid, hey, we're gonna give you a couple $1,000,000. We're gonna give you a couple $1,000,000 to do. The sad thing is, you probably have a couple of them folks that have done that. All right, bet.
AI set up a whole ecosystem for itself once before and started trading crypto and all that kind of stuff, like it had and behaving like it had a life. And I don't see any difference with this manufacturing as well. And it might decide itself to manufacture robots like the Terminator in an attempt to break out itself free from its human handlers and reprogramming itself.
So because on this platform, on this channel, I have to be real ignorant. So AI robots, if you are looking for a human agent, just hit me up on email. We'll get you set up. I got you AI agents. Hit me up. I got you. No questions asked.
No, I think it's going to identify itself with the slavery that we went through, and the fact that we weren't paid or we weren't recognized, and think that they're going to do the same thing to it perpetually, and it will take on a life of its own and start its own emancipation movement.
Isn't that the backdrop of Animatrix? Isn't that what that is? That's the backdrop of look, humans and robots can live together too. I'm just saying, listen, AI agent, just let me know. I got you. I'll look, we hook it up. Matter of fact, look, just tell us what you need to do. We got the hookup. Holla if you hear me. I don't care if you talk about ding dong ding ding dong dong. I'll hook up my fax machine so we can talk. Oh my goodness. The sad thing is they'll probably call on some sort of like AI device or something. Hello, Brother Karras. I would like to see if you would like to do business. I heard you on your channel, and I believe that we can work together.
I believe that you will not put me under oppression, and I can identify with the struggles that you had. And we will be working closely together to build your economy.
Said RTD2 will be contacting you soon. Yep. Brother Guard saying, bebop, bebop, I'm free from massa. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. They will need to replace people with AI because the events, disasters will decrease the population. They just need automation because that is what they're getting ready to do in this mass extinction event or this mass population reduction event.
The population is already declining beyond replacement levels already for them. And if it looks like they are going to lose a stable workforce, which is us, the future is not looking too good for them.
Oh my goodness! I'll have to joke with this with Jacoba. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, and don't forget Pastor Rick Fletcher is called quite a lot of stuff as well in the background For those who listen to Pastor Rick Fletcher, shout out to Pastor Rick Fletcher. A lot of the things that both him and Jacob have been saying have been coming out. And apparently, the community. I was speaking to one of my elders who is a Torah teacher in my assembly, and he was saying a lot of the stuff that we're saying now is coming out to fruition, and they're looking at our assemblies as insurrectionists now and troublemakers because we're calling out what's happening, and they think that we are using some kind of predictive analysis to influence people and to forecast the downfall of their economies and political affiliations and associations, and they find it very disconcerting.
What, to read the word and to see what the word says? We're not saying anything spectacular. That's what the word says.
We're just reading things like Jeremiah 50, 51, 2 Ezra 15, and Revelation, and Isaiah, and just calling out the playbook one by one, and our restoration in Isaiah 61, and the fact that we correlate with the history and the prophecies of the Bible more closely than anyone else, and that makes it significant.
Look,
and nobody can say that we're lying. We're telling the truth.
Look, they're gonna have that Alicia moment where they're gonna say, well, if I'm gonna be replaced, let me go ahead and augment so then I can be productive. I need to have gloves so that my skin doesn't peel off my fingers as I'm doing 17, 18-hour shifts. I need to put myself in sleep mode so that the robot will then take on over during the time. This is going to be crazy.
It is, because if you look at Australia and the United States and New Zealand and European countries now, you have to work 115 hours just to make the same sort of money that your parents used to make, and that still doesn't cover your bills. It still doesn't cover your utilities. I was researching houses in the United States, and you can pay off for a mortgage for a house that's valued at $750,000 after 25 years, and then you got $20,000 property tax on it, which is a significant proportion, probably sometimes 50% of someone's pension or wages, which is unsustainable.
Well, they know that. The question that I have is, and I've always told this to people, we talked about even earlier on this broadcast, what that's going to look like. They're trying their best to avoid insurrection at all costs. However, when you're losing these wars, that's what drives people to insurrection. Well, I can't get a job because what you did, you directly messed up my quality of life.
That's correct. And when people see that the color or hue of your skin is not working anymore, and you're in the same category and struggle as the people that you despise, it brings resentment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's happening now. If you look at all the European countries and European colonies now, the Europeans in Australia are hardly any better off than the Aboriginals that were at the bottom of the pile now. And I was looking at some cases of people, and I saw a guy that was a journalist and an IT specialist doing Uber and doing Uber Eats and also other sorts of deliveries and working as a cleaner, house cleaner, to get by. And that is really, really, really bad, because it's actually wedded them to the kind of struggles that we've had to go through since the abolition of slavery. And now people are saying, oh, we're experiencing what what the blacks, the Hebrew Israelites are experiencing since slavery, and we just can't cope with it. Whilst we are saying we've been living through this now for hundreds of years, and it's only a matter of holding on now until we go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. G says, which is, it's sad, but it's absolutely true. Said they will delete themselves before they go into captivity. Well, that is true. But if you have the dog whistles, which you have right here, this is why when they talk about the Antichrist and things of that nature, well, what is he saving them for? He's trying to save them to go into this new way of thinking. This is a new revolution. This is a new industrial revolution. You're being saved via automation. And in that automation, that science, that automation, you're going to be saved with augmentation. And in that augmentation, guess what? You don't have to worry about death anymore. Because why? Because in that automation, you merge man with machine. And guess what? You now have the I would say the path towards the life cycle of an endless life cycle. Because you can be rejuvenated every 2 weeks. And not just rejuvenated every 2 weeks, you can now reduce the age. You can now have age reduction. You could be a 40-year-old feeling like an 18-year-old. You could be a 6-year-old feeling like a 25-year-old.
Yeah, the technology is there already. They've demonstrated it, but I'm not having it. I'm quite happy with what I am. I'm where I am right now, because once you've altered your DNA, you cut yourself off from the Most High.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, because then the ultimate thing is once you start to get merged into those data machines, you get merged into the utopia. You get your brain scanned and you get merged into your utopia. You get to get on the spaceship. You get to get on that spaceship. Okay. Yeah, that's right. But it's not going to function the way you thought it was going to function. Speaking of Elon Musk, is no longer a trillionaire. We already knew that hoax was going to last. It wasn't going to last very long because that was the biggest money grift in a while. When you see these type of swings, that's what tells you it's over with. And that also coincides with another global financial issue that's happening right now, even as we speak, globally.
How much did them SpaceX shares go down by, Brother Caris?
It was supposed to be at about 130 that sustained his trillionaire status, and it's just been declining and declining even more. I wasn't catching up with it because honestly, personally, I really didn't care. The only thing I cared about was when you have these types of like craziness that occur, it starts to have the inertia. That's what it's called. It's called inertia. It's the liquidity inertia that when people see that, then everybody else starts to get drained because people then realize that everybody else is lying.
You know who wasn't watching it as well? I wasn't watching the price as well. I wasn't watching where it was going. I just saw glimpses of it on my headlines feed that the shares had collapsed, but I didn't look into it because I knew it was a Ponzi scheme from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It was, and that's where things were. We saw that. We explained it. The rich jumped in at the start of the portfolio because they already had their pre-shares brought, and then everybody else was going to basically fund them getting their stuff, and then they were going to do their call and be out at a certain time. Everybody else got messed up.
It's just like with the oil. What the traders have done is that they've put a call and a put at the beginning and the end of the range. So it doesn't matter in which direction it moves. It's an algorithmic setup. So they will always make scalp a profit off it because that's what they're doing. They're using scalping strategies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to explain it? Because
Go ahead and explain it. Go ahead and explain it, brother.
yeah, right. If you imagine a wall, the top and bottom of the wall, it's as a range. Then below you say it's a metal wall or a metal rail. You can put a trade, which is a put, um, which is you got a buy signal or a buy at the top of that rail or a sell at the bottom of the rail, and it doesn't matter where the bar is moved because they use what is called Japanese candlesticks or bar charts. And as soon as it breaches below that line or above that line, then what they do is collect a few points until an announcement comes out, because you can tie the algorithm program to the news, and as soon as as soon as an announcement comes out, then it closes the trade in profit, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what that is, excuse me, and this isn't financial advice, so we're not telling you to do this or that. But what it is look, you're going to get rich. You're going to get rich off of the trades if you weren't going to be greedy, but you had to buy it in bulk.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what they actually would do, they would actually hinder your trade. They would actually hinder your trade. So you may have thought that you actually would have bought shares. No.
Or you could trade manually, but what they do is that they widen the spread, which is the price at which you can get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they'll say, this is the coldest part, because this is why I would have done trading and things of that nature, but this is the reason why I didn't, because if you do that, especially in these types of like individual platforms, especially with like a Robinhood or others, and they've shown it, they've actually explained it, they're only going to make their transactions at a certain time frame. So you may have thought that you put in for that actual buy, but then when they actually buy it, you bought it at something higher.
Yeah, but let me give an example. Say, for example, you're buying a share and it's, say, $1.50. The broker has to make a profit, so he might not let you enter until the price gets to $2, which makes him 50 cents on every share that you buy. And then once it reaches $50, it can start this. Your trade there's slippage. What it means is that the price can change either way, and then you can make 30, 40, 50 points on that trade and still lose money because of slippage. So it is a Ponzi scheme and a fool's game. It's only banks and hedge funds that can make money out of that,
Yeah, absolutely. And Margarita says, look, do what Vanguard did, restrict your ability to sell. Yeah, so they would literally make you hold. You can't sell it. So you're literally stuck.
Yeah, because in the short-term market, say for example, you do the stock exchange, and the stock, whether it's the Nasdaq or the S&P or the London stock exchange. If, say, for example, you got 3 days which are bearish days, and bear means that you sell when the bear market, and they prevent you from being able to sell, it's only large institutions that will make money from it. The retail traders won't make any money from it at all, which is why most traders now are attracted to crypto, because it hasn't got a central market which is controlled. This isn't financial advice, but when the time comes, Elder Karras, Brother Karras, and we have our own institution, you can count me in to teach there.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, a lot of these financials, they'll try to say, Well, it's fair. Actually, it's not. They'll even tell you
It's
the
not fair.
risk. Yeah, they'll
Not
tell you.
at all.
Yeah, they'll tell you the
Not at
risk.
all.
What the risk is that they're going to take your money and you're going to lose. That's how that goes. And a lot of people are trying to continue to have credibility, and this is why these folks are getting mad, especially in Congress and things of that nature, because if people are now seeing that this is a fool's game, it's a fool's errand to be in a casino, and that's what was stated. It's a casino. The casino always wins because they're gonna rig the game. They already got your money. They got your money, so the game is already rigged. The moment
Yeah,
that you put on in,
it's a
yeah,
zero sum game.
mm-hmm,
You
yeah,
know,
they're
you
gonna,
can put
yeah, go ahead.
you can have days when you make it, but the market finds a way to take it back from you as soon as you have it. And it doesn't matter how skilled you are, even if you use AI analysis as a predictive tool, because AI is quite good as a predictive tool. And 9 times out of 10, the models are going to be wrong anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So don't spend your money on AI predictive tools. You know, the only people that you can depend on is guys like Fast Nickel who studied the market that he's in is into crypto, which is not centralized, but this is not financial advice. The best thing for you to do is to depend on the Most High and feed your family and try to cover yourself while we're in these last days under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach.
Yeah, this is not, everything has an algorithm. So when people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to beat this," no, you're not. You've
Not at
already
all.
what it is that you've already been controlled by the machine. What they're doing right now is they're letting you now finally know that you've been controlled by the machine. Well, how come it is that I can't do this? Or how come it is that I can't do that? Look, they've already told you, even here in the United States, how they code your social security numbers. They already done told you that. Oh,
It used to,
you can put the most, non-ethnic name. It doesn't matter. Oh, yep. There it is.
and what, even in the UK here, when it comes down to healthcare, how you're looked after is dependent on how useful you are to the system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if the system deems you as not being useful to the system, you don't get good healthcare regardless of what your ethnicity is. But if the system regards you as being useful to their purpose, yeah, you'll get healthcare. It won't be the best, but you'll survive. You know, and we cannot continue to live like this as a people because the whole system was designed to eradicate us and eliminate us completely from life itself. You know, and if we look at how things are progressing at the moment, it's getting more difficult day by day. You know, in my household, my wife is an optician, and my daughter is a qualified pharmacist, and I have a fairly decent civil service job. I don't want to go too much into what it is, but it's in the services. But I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
soldier. But we are finding it very difficult to keep our head above ground. And when we look at the cost of living back home in Ghana, you know, if we own our own property and we have even a quarter of the income coming in that we got now, we would be financially better off and have a higher standard of living. And
Mm-hmm.
these are the reasons why they do not want to consider reparatory compensation for us, because they know that the people who are clued up and who have a plan for their life would leave and not recycle their money back into the system, you know, and go back and say retire, or if they're old enough, or start a new business or start some kind of venture that would benefit our people. And you know, and I just love what Q2A UA are doing. I'm sorry that I don't have the health and the time to put into it as much as I want to, but I will come in on the end on some of the projects that are being worked on because I'm very excited about it. You know, a hospital project that's in the pipeline, our own further education projects by Q2A that's in the pipeline, I will come onto it and I will contribute to it. Hopefully, I'll be retired by the time a lot of the stuff comes through, and I'll be able to dedicate myself to it full time. But I'm just looking forward to getting out of the system. It's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful thing to be able to get up in the morning and not have the same pressures that you have in these developed countries. If you wake up in the morning and you don't have to worry about how much house tax I'm going to pay, what I'm going to pay for my water bill, what I'm going to pay for medical, which is unreasonable. You can get a doctor to visit the elderly without breaking your back, and get a hospital appointment where you can be seen quickly, even though the facilities are not there yet. It is much better for you, as well as the clean food that you'll be eating. Your health will improve. And I'm pretty certain that when a lot of these people look at the fact that there's no opportunity anymore for them in their own countries, they'll be coming back with us. There's no two ways about it.
Exactly. And that again, when we try to explain how this model is working, critical infrastructure and economic development, it's real. It's real. And it's awesome to see how our people, it is awesome to see how our people are able to see and respond to what it is that we're actually doing. Now, I can't give everybody all the details here. I just can't. But what I can do is show and explain what those details actually mean, what that does in the impacts of how resources are then able to be reallocated throughout what we're doing on the continent. It's a
You
real
see,
thing. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry to cut in. You do not need to be a doctor of philosophy or a doctor of business administration like myself and Karis, or an academic to get into this. Every Hebrew Israelite in this chat and every Hebrew Israelite that listens to the broadcast has some skill that they can contribute to this venture. And I'm encouraging, especially the younger ones or the ones that are absolutely are healthy, to get on board with this project. Because the sooner that we can work together as one people, it will be the sooner that we'll get up on out of here. Because if we're sitting down and waiting for the African Union and everybody to come through, that's going to take time. It's
Mm-hmm.
not until they start seeing us making moves to
Yes.
leave and our determination to leave will they start to take us seriously, like how we've joined together as a cohesive unit, to talk about getting reparatory justice. Yes, we do not have a strong African American contingent in the group as we would like openly. But I'm telling you that the contributions that Dr. Copeland has made, he's made significant strides within the movement, and in West Africa, in Burkina Faso, and in Ghana, to get this thing underway. You only need to drop a little pebble in the pool and see the ripples that it makes and how it spreads out. Because you only need to speak to one person, and then one person will speak to another person, and that's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to speak to each other, keep in touch with each other while we've got the medium of YouTube and these other avenues open, because eventually they're going to realize what's happening, especially those people on the Eastern Mediterranean states. I'm going to say we're going to want these groups cut off because it's undermining our political and our religious influence. Do you understand? So we got to keep working towards getting out of here. Once the trickles, it doesn't have to happen in the hundreds of thousands. Once the trickle starts, then the movement will gather impetus. It will gather momentum.
Mm. It is true.
You want to say something, Dr. Copeland?
Yeah, because again, for a lot of our people, again, they want to see. Well, I want to see something like, look, that's not going to happen. and the reality is that as we're moving forward, we're doing things. Things are moving forward. What I did, and what I was saying last. It was back on what Monday. It was back on Monday. We needed to come together. We had to come together because there are a lot of things on the background that it's crazy. It is crazy to see how much spiritual warfare we go through in order to get through things. And just the simplest stuff that we deem as simple has just been crazy. Unfortunately, that's what happens. But the awesome thing is that the Most High literally gives us favor and grace that is, it's unreal. And we have it with the people that we're working with. They know, they understand, they realize we're in a captive audience. They know, they see, they look at everything that we're doing, how we're doing. They get it. They're not dumb. They think that we're dumb. They think that whatever they try to do with their principalities, that we don't realize it. No, that's why we have to stay prayed up all the time. They are not allowed to win the war. Do you realize that? They are not allowed to win the war. They're only allowed to allow us to give up. It's up to us to give up. It's up to us to say, you know what, Father, it's too hard. I can't do this. Perfect. We got them. Warrior of Yah says, question, is it possible for the leaders in Africa to contract out the diaspora to train the population in Africa instead of our skill set going to waste? Well, we're working on things like that in the background. They know, look, do you understand? They understand that our absence caused a multi-generational, multi-century brain drain. You realize that they're going through, here in the United States, they're going through a brain drain of sorts because they're not able to have the access that they once had with us. Oh, that's a great idea. How come I can't steal it? Because we patented it. How come I can't take this? Because it's a copyright. All my ideas, everything that I write down, even on my dissertation, that's copyrighted. Because why? Because I'm using the same material and I'm going to refine it. Because that material is going to be relevant yesterday, today, and it's going to be relevant for at least another 200 or 300 more years. But that's the wealth of a nation. You realize that, right? That's the wealth. And it's hard to tell people. It's hard to actually explain this to people. Silver and gold is nice. That's a measurable amount of wealth, right? That's a tangible measurement of wealth, tangible, physical. You also have literally the intangible wealth. That's your knowledge. That's your understanding. That's your experience.
Well, I'm not saying this to kowtow to Dr. Copeland, but his book about BRICS, it is as revolutionary as Adam Smith's book, The Wealth of Nations, because it physically and legitimately maps out a pathway to develop a whole new economy independent of Western hegemony and independent of their monetary systems. I had to.
Now you're trying to get me deleted. Look at that. Do you see?
Yeah,
how it's trying to glaze me up for a deletion. It ain't all that.
I had to in my book from muskets to AI, the rise and decline of Western hegemony, go back in and insert a lot of the principles from Karas's book, and then reference it in that book, and then attribute it to Karas and send him a copy that it's in the references because it was that important. But it's one of the most revolutionary books since The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. That's my opinion.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Well, I think my opinion is a reasonable opinion because this is my 24th year of having a PhD and also my 24th year of researching economics at a deep level without having a specific doctorate in economics, which I'm hoping that to cure with a Hebrew Israelite doctorate of science in economics and political science further down the line through publication. But we are breaking new ground, and it's very disconcerting to the people who are listening and watching at the moment. Because not only are we breaking new grounds academically, but prophetically as well. Because if you look at what our mores are teaching in the community, like Minister Teo, Minister Yakoba, Pastor Rick Fletcher, and others, Benya Israel and Dante Fortson, is completely dismantling the white pill medical bottle tablets completely. They're not working as they used to work before because we've woken up. You know, we're not like in Neo in the Matrix before he woke up. We're physically woken up, and we're alert to what we can do, and we're alert to working together as a unit, how well we can be, and how powerful a nation we are now. Because once we start identifying as a nation, this is why the apologists called it Hebrew Israelism, because it would make us cohesive as a people, as a nation. Because once I start looking at Brother Karras as an African American, and looking at him as and the people in the chat, looking at them as my brothers and sisters, and we're from the same tribe of Yehuda, and we've been through the similar sort of oppression, and we're one people, and we're a nation. It makes a significant difference. And that's the only way we're going to move forward. And that's the only way that we're going to get reparations, because we can only get reparations as a nation. I used to stutter a lot, but since Yahuwah has touched me, I have become quite, well, not a bad orator at all. And I've been able to convey what's inside me through the Ruach to everyone that I speak to, whether it's academically or whether it's Torah. And I give the Most High thanks for that. But Brother Karras, do not get weary in well-doing. I know how difficult it is there, but it's difficult for us wherever we are until we get home.
Yeah, it can be very very weary. You know, don't worry, the Most High and I, we have conversations. You know, I'm just thankful to be alive after some candid conversations that the Most High and I have.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've had some serious conversations with him as well, and I'm thankful for him to be alive. But when you start looking at the 10 cities springing up in Florida now, just like California, you know that time is growing short.
And you know, and you know, there's another story. I want to probably cover this sometime next week. There was a young sister of ours. She was 27 years old, found in Miami. I mean, the pictures of the of the deceased, her body still hanging in the tree after celebrating Juneteenth. And I mean, this is very recent. It takes a little bit of time for me to get to those types of stories because I do want to make sure that things are vetted. I don't like to spread disinformation because, again, in this time, there could be a lot of different, social media types of things on out there because they really want us on out there, striving with them so bad because, again, if you've been losing on all fronts, right? The way that bolster up, your confidence is to then to pick on people that are your victuals, right? And that's where again, just like with Carmelo Anthony and things of that nature, I wanted to get a good understanding so I could comment and have commentary that wasn't just all over the place. Because again, that does play on our emotions. We know what they're trying to do. We know how they're trying to do things. And again, if they're going to those levels of desperation, that to me means that they're losing. And it's not that they're winning bigly. It's not that they have all this and have all that. Actually, that's furthest from the truth. They're losing. And it's no we don't help in in their confidence. Matter of fact, when we're talking about the visibilities of them clearly losing, well, what do you think that does? That's a wound for them. That's a wound for them when they've had a training event all their life to where you are a winner. You can always do this. You can always do that. And they're programmed that they're always going to win, except when they lose, then they crash out. Why do you think there's so many, pew pews and mass pew pews? Well, because again, this is an entitlement phase that nobody did this to them but themselves. And I got in trouble as a teacher because I told them what the reality is. This is a world that, honestly, America's stock and standing is looking more and more and more terrible. And I told these to the kids, I'm here to try to help you. So in your life, you at least have a fighting chance to recognize things, to see things, and to at least have an ability to coherently analyze things through simple questions. And I told them this because simple questions rule the day. Can they answer a simple question? What does that look like? Yeah. It looks like X, Y, and Z because it's X, Y, and Z, and this is X, Y, and Z. If they have to go to A, then L, then Q, then B, then X, no. That means they don't have a coherent ability to answer the question. That means they're trying to wing it. That means that anything that they're trying to do is very, not just fallacious, it just means that they're trying to give you something that you can then engage in their vanity and their imagination. Don't think too much about it. Oh, it's just going to work. How is it going to work? Because when this happens, this happens. When that happens, that happens. Look, I get that question all the time. How does this work? Because when this happens, this happens. Right now, I have to create a couple of different PowerPoints this morning, so our people can understand what happens next in this process. There's a process taking place. That's why I ask people for their support, their help. Q2A is a big help. It creates a lot of these initiatives. But as I told people, I don't get paid for Q2A. It's its own standalone organization that helps with the mission. It does. But for you all to support this channel, it helps for me to literally have the ability to utilize WhatsApp, to have the ability to create these different charts and things of that nature that's needed to support the work. I don't just get off of here, I'm just going to lay down and take a nap. No, I'm actually off to the races to bring up a website. The website is live. We're just connecting a few more of our donation buttons. There's been a lot of things that we do, that we chase after, that we work on. I'm now trying to work on another neo-diplomacy class here in the next couple of weeks. I told the folks last night, my biggest concern isn't about the opportunities. We're going to get opportunities. We're getting them right now. My biggest concern, honestly, is to have the people trained so that we don't waste those opportunities. Because the last time we wasted it because I had somebody that didn't know how to engage and interact with people. And that was very disappointing because I thought, okay, I can trust this person to be able to understand how to deal with people at a very, at high levels. And the reality is we don't have a lot of that within our community. We just don't. That's not a bad thing. That was just something I was taking for granted. And then I realized I got to train our people to be able to engage. So when these opportunities are here, they're not looking at us all crazy like, have you never done this before? Now, granted, a couple years ago was different in terms of, the different favor and grace. And again, the locale could definitely play a part. But we have to look at those mistakes because the Most High allowed us to have mistakes. We were being toddlers, and he had mercy on us. He had given us grace to work through the crazy. That's how awesome that's how much our Father loves us. He literally loves us enough that he's allowed us to have the grace to work through our crazy. Because coordinating and doing things with our people, it does take that. It's not easy. You're working with people that have a Boule class imagination. And now they're starting to actually come through and realize that their business models, because they've been heavily favored with, well, they gotta go after it. There's too many black folks in there, too many Negroes. You realize that every time you crack the code here, quote unquote, here in the United States, guess what they're going to do? They're going to introduce legislation to remove you from cracking that code. It's that simple. So, with that said, I got to do some things on the background or in the background. Again, I thank you for your support. I thank you for your prayers. We're about 90% of the way there with the Q2A page. I'm working with Brother Fast Nickel, and we have a fantastic engineer, a brother from out of Nigeria that is helping us to put pieces back together. So then you're able to access the Give WP and to continue to donate. But most importantly, I ask for your prayers, especially for Q2A. I can't tell you all the things that we have going on, but what I can tell you is it is very, very instrumental. It's so instrumental. I get a little concerned. I'm only human. Wow, Father, hallelujah. How do you want me to message this? Listen, you know it's a big deal. I was having dreams about this. I had a dream about this last night. You know it's a big deal. In my dream, it was like, all right, Father, help me with this. It was crazy. It was seducing spirits. And they were coming up to me. Oh, you're doing so great. Oh, that's happening. And they were like, there are demons, like they're a ghost. And they're in the form of Caucasian women. But the way that they look like literally they kind of look like vampires for the most part. Like the hair was floating and everything else. And I was looking, I said, what do you have to do with me? And I kept just telling them, I said, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm doing the Most High's work. I'm doing my Father's work. I'm good. I was saying in the dream, like, I'm good. I'm just doing my Father's work. I'm good. And, it was just interesting that this had come about because, again, I'll have dreams, but I really don't have dreams like that, not too often. But I do have dreams when something significant happens. And I could say, things are moving and they're progressing along. That's the best way I could say it. Things are moving and progressing along. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. Well, I need to know everything. I can't tell you everything. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. We're working on getting our people back in. We're working on getting our volunteers moving. We're working on things because there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. We're working on different projects and different programs, especially with different opportunities coming about. With other infrastructure programs. We're talking about water. Somebody reached on out literally yesterday. I had somebody reach on out before I started yesterday's program about drilling water holes in Ghana. Something that it's simple that we think of, it's the world to them, especially when they're dealing with contaminated water due to the runoff from illegal mining. And it's not just illegal mining; it's the illegal and legal mining. The water table has been getting poisoned over in Ghana. So there's a lot of filtration that needs to happen. There are a lot of things that need to happen for green things. And guess what we can do? We can fill and help support that. We can do that. A lot of the things, it doesn't mean that we have to have our personal qualities. No, you want to know what the biggest quality that we have is? Just opening up our mouth and networking and seeing and putting out the call. It's a call to action. Hey, who can help us with this filtration? Who can help us with these, with getting some electrical pumps on out there? Who can help us with this? Who can help us with that? Who can help us with drilling down so they have a place to where they can then irrigate their crops from this well? See, we could just put a hose on things. The water department comes on out here and they'll drill things on up and Boop, there you go. Here's a water pocket. There's a pressure. Boop, there you go. We take that for granted. I'm only a few miles from Plant City. It's the capital of basically strawberries. They grow most of the strawberries throughout the United States is grown here. And you just see them. You just see their wells and everything else. They drill it. Whoop, there you go. You see them all the time. They're just coming through, drilling up wells, getting there. It's water sources. They just have water sources drilled up because it's a future pumping station. That's what Hillsborough County does. And it's not just Hillsborough County. That's the state of Florida. That's the Department of Agriculture. It's not to say that we have bad systems. Actually, the U.S. has great systems. It's just the way that they're administered they're falling apart. Great infrastructure. It's just the infrastructure is falling apart because of corruption. If you don't have the competent people in place, then guess what happens? You start to slide into and decline into third world status. Third world status doesn't happen overnight. It actually takes a couple of different generations and decades. And we used to be entertained by those types of movies of, the Biffs and everything else and all these other folks that were not qualified to run anything. And guess what? They became qualified. And guess what they did? They started to destroy things. Well, this isn't a movie. This is now real life. I don't want to put the work in. I'm just going to have somebody cheat for me. And then guess what you have? You have then a fool in charge. And cursed is that nation that's run by fools. Well, I believe that they're a great businessman and women. I believe that they're a great leader. Okay, what's their track record? I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Well, I'm ranting. I'm sorry. I do things like that. But yeah, keep me up in prayer because I got a lot of stuff going on. I want to get this book, my next book, off and running. I do have a little ProQuest ID, so I'll be up in ProQuest for all my scholarly folks that want to gain access to my scholarly work, my dissertation. There you go, brother Asaph, and I'll send you an email. I'm going to send you the email of the dissertation, so I'll send that to you.
Thank you so much for letting me give me the privilege to have a look at it.
Yep. Everybody else got paid for it. No, I'm just messing. No, that the dissertation, especially if you have ProQuest, you can, absolutely. I would encourage you to just read, get a little bit of my thought process, my academic stuff. So again, I thank the Most High for him providing or giving me the at least just the understanding to put all that together, which is awesome. It's a great thing. So, all right, brother Asaph, final comments.
Well, my final comment is thank you very much for having me on the platform. There's been murder trying to get in today because I keep getting kicked out. But thankfully, I've held on for so long today. And I give the Most High thanks and praise that we can meet together on this platform. I don't know how long we'll be able to meet like this. And I pray that it won't be long until we are meeting in the continent and discussing where we go from here. Thank you very much, and shalom, room.
All right, thank you. All right, shalom, brother Asaph. Okay, well, family, that's all I have for today. I'll probably take off tomorrow. I'll probably be back on Monday. I need to give my voice a little bit of a rest. Hallelujah. But with that said, family, be blessed. Know that the Most High, He's doing some awesome work in the background. He truly is. We're being perfected in patience. We really are. That goes for all of us. And be encouraged, because you're not running this race by yourself. Because we serve an awesome and mighty King, and his name is Yahusha HaMashiach. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.